There was a survey done in the UK recently to ask people the top 10 things that they felt most guilty about. Now, some on here are trivial. Some are a bit like, okay, introduces some thought. So I thought we'd go through the top 10 and anything else people want to put up going, oh, okay, I feel a bit guilty about that. Or like, no, I don't feel guilty about that at all. So coming in at number 10, with 25% of people saying this, they say they feel guilty about
Yeah, so you like the redecorating.
Yeah, I like what you've done with the place.
Yeah, I think it's a lot better than when we closed a few years ago. It's like we're in such a different mindset now than we were then. So
well, we got money now, right? I mean, the stash half helps. So just make sure you don't pile too many things in the things. Otherwise, trouble. Ben, here he is, the main man.
Going?
Hello.
What's that? Sorry?
The main man is here.
I am the main man. So much pressure.
Yeah, man. Nah, all good. No pressure around here. You come in.
I'm a little bit under the weather, so sorry if I'm not as chipper.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, you sound a little different.
Yeah. Started with a sore throat, and now it seems to have moved to my brain. So I just stood in the shower for like half an hour.
No, not the brain. Oh well, at least you had a hot shower though. That's always...
Yeah, but I'm all good. Yeah, all good. I'll stop complaining. How are you guys?
We're good.
Good, mate. We're good. We're good.
Yeah, we were just kind of touching base. Did a little bit of redecorating here at the bar, so I was just like asking Vishad what he thought of it, and he likes it. So
yeah,
I'm glad he gives me free reign and just allows me to do what I do.
Yeah, because if I don't, then
what?
Can you still see me?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, because my stupid Google thing says you've lost your network.
No,
clearly not.
You are visible to us.
You're good. You left us on a cliffhanger.
I know.
I was going to say, like, I forgot what I was going to say now. About the decorating, about...
Oh, he was actually losing service in the process. Oh, wow. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. No, what's... Oh, yeah, so we won't talk about that when Vishad gets back. Oh, hi, Vishad.
I heard that. Okay, good. Right.
There you
some
are.
Gremlin in the works there. I don't know. Maybe they're listening in. You see, whenever I talk about these things, these feds always get on top.
Yeah, I think it's the gold microphones taking up too much bandwidth. You know,
I must have checked. Is there a secret chip in this that's broadcasting to like MI6 or the FBI or CIA or whatever it is?
Well, they know you're going to use it, so.
Yeah, but how much information they're gathering?
Yeah.
We're watching.
Oh.
Peter,
Hey, Peter,
welcome.
Bonjour.
How are we?
Good.
Good man.
How are you?
Very good. Very good.
Peter, you have very blue eyes. Is that normal, or is that your like filter? Does it look really blue to you guys as well?
That's how they are.
Cool.
I was actually going to say that, but it's just funny that you were just like, oh my gosh, Peter, you have such blue eyes. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, at least if I say it, I'm sure it doesn't come across as anything. Well, it probably did come across a bit weird. Anyway, nice to meet you, Peter. That's a good first impression. Yeah, blue eyes are cool.
Oh my God.
You have the bluest eyes I have ever seen.
That's exactly how I heard Ben say it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's all that's going on in our heads now.
I know.
I feel like, I don't know if you get this in Philippines, Lexi, but I feel like it's a really big deal here or in Taiwan or in Asia when someone has like really blue eyes. It becomes a subject of conversation. And
yeah,
I do appreciate it more after being out here for like 10 years. It's like, oh, it is very cool, actually.
Oh, wow. So you've been there for a decade. That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And here it's like if you look like you're a foreigner, then you just get like extra attention. whatever that is, it's basically like you look different than the rest of us do, and it's noticeable.
Is it noticeable for you? Do you
Yeah, it's very noticeable for me. And I tried to just start speaking the language like off the bat because I've been here for a few years now, but then I think it's because I can kind of hear my accent when I say certain words, and I'm like, oh, like, I don't know. It makes me like hesitant because I'm just like, oh, that's not like how I want to say it. I was like, just speak your language and see if they understand. So I will speak English, and then I speak in English, they speak in Tagalog, respond in English, respond in Tagalog, and we're just understanding each other, but speaking our own language to make sure we understand each other. So it works out pretty well. Yeah. And then, but then when they try to speak English and I can tell they're struggling, I'm just like, just say it in Tagalog, like just say it. And then and it's so funny because they're like talking, they're speaking a certain way, and then they go, and I'm like, you know what? Just say it in Tagalog. And it's just like, oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really sweet. It's an interesting interaction because that's not like what I'm used to really dealing with so much in the States. Like if people are there, most of them can speak English, like the people I've encountered anyways. So it's interesting for the dynamic here. It's another one-off story was, I was hanging out with my cousin, and we were we went outside. We were staying in this hotel. We went outside because he smokes. So I was like, oh, you want to go take your smoke break? And he's like, yeah. So we like walk over. And as we're walking, I'm like, you know what I noticed is like in the Philippines, there's a lot of Filipino people. And he was just like,
funny enough.
He's like, yeah, and in China, there's a lot of Chinese people. And then in Korea, there's a lot of Korean people. And I was like, no. What I'm saying is when you're in the States, you literally, like the places I've grown up, which is mostly like the West Coast, you get a variety, like a serious variety, especially in Las Vegas. Like you get a whole variety of people. And that's actually what I'm used to. Like when I was living here as a kid, I went to this international school. So it was the same variety. So when I live in the States and when I've lived in California and Vegas, that's also what I experience is just like a variety of people, and then it's just cool because their culture comes in, and then there's a variety of cuisines, so it's like, but here it's just mostly Filipino people, like especially the area that we were in. And then he's like, oh, okay, I know what you're saying now. I was like, yeah, I mean, like literally like what I'm saying, but also what I'm saying is this. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same as Taiwan. Like Taiwan is really homogenous. And so, it depends. Taipei is a little bit different, but anywhere outside of Taipei, you don't see that many foreigners around unless you're in a specific area. And even the idea of calling people foreigners is like a thing I've gotten used to, but that was like not part of my vocabulary before I moved there. Yeah, it's interesting. And it comes with a whole range of like interesting things. There's like what we would call racism in Australia is actually just like kind of like innocence to some degree, and the things, but it's so fun because you can just say stuff that would be not very PC in the West.
Yes.
But it doesn't come from a bad place. It's more like curiosity. So I enjoy it. If I go back to Australia, it's I have to be careful. I feel like I'm going to offend people.
Yeah. You definitely have to like adjust back like to a lot of things. I feel like even like for my dad, it's the driving. Like he does not want to drive in the States anymore. So like when we're there, he's like, you drive. And I'm like, okay. Because he's afraid he's going to drive there like he drives here. Breaking all the rules. And I'm just like, I understand there's actually rules in the States and you would be breaking because here it doesn't matter. But yeah. And then, that's just like what I've just really loved being here, like just to discover how different, like the mentalities and like the language, like how it's like contextual, like high context and low context. And then also just like seeing and understanding why people have certain habits and why they do things the way that they do. So yeah, a lot of it, it's a very enriching experience, which if you would have asked me like a year ago, I'd be like, oh, like it's hot. it's humid. I'm being eaten alive by mosquitoes. Like totally different story.
Oh God.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
It's something everyone should experience to some degree. It would make the world a better place if that were the case.
Yes, more understanding. Oh, and that was the other thing too, is yesterday I stopped at this like ice cream stand, or it's like a frozen yogurt stand, and they also have like drinks. And when I was like standing there, I look over and I'm like hearing like the adults speak in Tagalog, and then I hear like I like look over and there's like a baby like in the cart, and then it's just like, or is that what it's called, the thing that they learn? Yeah. So they're just like there, and it's just looking up at the adults, and then I guess it's making faces, and the lady was like, oh, you're so tough, huh? You're so tough, but she's saying it in Tagalog, so that's like the translation. Yes. And then I like her slipper, her shoe, like her sandal came off like a little bit, and so like half her foot was outside of her sandal and the other half was inside, and they're like, oh my gosh, look at you, you're such a mess, like your sandal's just coming off and all that stuff. And I, like, Vishad's face is like horror. I just started laughing, and I was like, because the way that the culture is, it's kind of like on the passive aggressive side, because we don't take things like seriously, but we do get butthurt. That's our contradiction. But like, you know, basically the teasing is like how we show love to each other. So it's like, this is ingrained in the culture, because I literally saw it happening to the baby, and I just started laughing because I'm like, I understand what is happening here and what this will develop into later on. And I was like, this is how the culture develops. Like, this is how my family was. Like, my dad used to tease me all the time. So yeah, that's how we get away with it over here. So we learn different things like high context language rather than low context, like in the States.
Yeah.
It must do your head in though sometimes.
Yeah.
Like to keep up with it, the pretense of it is like, okay, they try and portray one kind of image, but it just takes one bit of disturbance to it and all pretense is gone. Like when I was in India in February, March. Long story short, on a family trip somewhere in India with about 20 of us, ranging from like a 2-year-old to like an 80-year-old, so group dynamic wise. Everybody had bought luggage, everybody had bought shopping, to the extent where like they had a full, well, you know, when them old style like carts, like, you know, you've got like a horse or a bull in front and that massive cart at the back. Like, that's how much luggage and shopping everybody had accumulated. So we were meant to go on a 20-hour train journey back home. 20 hours, right? And what everybody had decided was like, no, we'll be fine, you know, like we'll have some people in that carriage, some people in that carriage, so we couldn't get all the seats and sleeping bays together and shit that. But what most of them were saying, like, no, it'll be fine. It'd be like, you know, because my worry was the train comes into the station and stops for 2 minutes. Yeah. And without warning, will go off again. No whistle, no doors, no like, no. If you're on, you're on. If you're not, you're not. No. So most of the people in my group were going, no, it'll be fine. Like, all you do, you on the ticket it says what door you stand by. So like say B2. So you go find the platform, that B2 right here. Okay. Now, obviously, you're not the only people on the train. There's loads of other people behind you and around you. And they were all acting in the group of like, nah, we'll be fine. We'll all get on. And I'm like, how are we going to get this cart onto the train and the 20 people in 2 minutes? Bearing in mind there's other people, and we're all going through this like very slim door. Not like there's not massive set doors or anything. Anyway, they're all like, nah, I'll be fine. The second the train pulls in and stops, literally they panic like there's a bomb about to go off. like everyone like panicking, swearing. There's some fat guy with a bag trying to get on, blocks the door, and I'm like, get on the fucking train, you stupid prick. He literally like wouldn't move, like this fat ass like couldn't get on, and like there's mass panic behind him. We had to shove the guy on. His bag fell over, and then you get on the train, and there's like, I'm not kidding, like hardly a person's width of a corridor to get these massive bags down. A queue of people. There's people on the train just watching this entertainment in their bunks already, and I'm like, fucking. And that, where is everybody? Has everyone made it on like? But the about face, I'll never forget that. They're all relaxing. Yeah, it'll be fine. The second it came in, like the absolute, as I said, like they were going to be shot, or there's a bomb going off, or absolute. Yeah, needless to say, I'm not going to do that again.
Which country was that? Where was that?
Oh, India.
Oh, in India. Okay.
Can only be India.
Yeah, that's so funny.
I'll say that. Let's, yeah.
Mayhem.
Goodness gracious. Chris, hello, welcome. I was just regaling everybody with my India woe story. Part of it anyway. It's long. That's a saga. Anyway,
yeah. I think one of the hard parts, like you mentioned before, it's like, you know, deep down inside, I am an Australian mostly, with like some tinges of yellow or some Asian in me, and so even if I understand the cross-cultural difference, even if I practice it, it always feels a little bit misaligned. And there's a point where that starts to grind you down a little bit, unless you're with a group of people who can empathize with you, you know? So that's something I've just found that became more of an issue past the 5-year mark. It's like, it's not fun and games anymore. This is just life. And people, if I do something, they don't fully understand why I'm doing it. And yeah, you know, you're in a different arena, but that's also, it's very humbling that way, I think. So yeah.
Definitely.
Lexi, I just thought of something. That fat guy trying to get on the train, Cartman sound. Literally that. Oh dear. Anyway, let's actually officially open this bar this morning. So welcome everybody to NoYB Business Bar. This is our third go at this thing now, and honestly, all we've done is kicked off with a topic, which I'll introduce in a second, and we'll just see where this takes us. There's no formal agenda, takeaway, all that stuff that we always do in our business. The ethos is literally built around, look, we love what we do, we love our business, all that stuff, but literally let's just gather and chat and enjoy ourselves, right? Especially on a Monday morning, afternoon, whatever. So the thing I wanted to put out there this week was, and I nicked this from another podcast, so I just thought when I heard it, I thought this might be good to put on the bar. So there was a survey done in the UK recently to ask people the top 10 things that they felt most guilty about. Now, some on here are trivial. Some are a bit like, okay, introduces some thought. So I thought we'd go through the top 10 and anything else people want to put up going, oh, okay, I feel a bit guilty about that. We're like, no, I don't feel guilty about that at all. So coming in at number 10, with 25% of people saying this, they say they feel guilty about being hungover. Now, when I heard that, I'm like, well, I guess it depends. Did you mean to be hungover? Or like,
did you do this on purpose?
Yeah, honestly, because like, you know, sometimes, I don't know, people, like you want to go out for one with your friends or whomever, then you end up having 2 or 3, and you keep going, and you like next morning you're like, oh, what did I do that for? But I guess if you enjoyed yourself at the time, does it matter? I don't know. What do people think?
I think that if you really did like dig deep into it, maybe like subconsciously our minds know that we technically over poisoned our bodies, and we're feeling the effects of it now.
True.
And it was definitely that part where we over poisoned our bodies may not have been the best decision, because, you know, like some people like to drink poison, you know, some people like to just have like a couple drinks. Alcohol has definitely become more refined through the years. So now it's a little more enjoyable for more people because the taste isn't like the way it was like centuries ago. Because I think that it was really bad back then. It's like and they were drinking it specifically for the effects. Like they weren't drinking it because of the taste. So I think there's just been like a transition and probably like a shame that's attached to it now, where it's like that's probably just whatever's been on the media or portrayed, you know.
That's true. The portrayal of it is another thing. There's got to be a hangover story in here somewhere. Someone's got to have like this happened when I was hungover, surely. Or are we all that sensible?
Yeah, I was thinking about whether it kind of depends on how good the night is, whether I would regret it or not. So like sometimes I can recall a few nights where I was like, yeah, that was worth it. I think most of the time it's probably not worth it. Just getting carried away and then end up throwing up. And even if it was worth it, there's still guilt, I guess, as well. So I can relate to that. I feel like the goal is not to drink too much. That's the goal. And if I get carried away, it's a failure of my maturity or something, but yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense. It's like, as you said, something. It feels like you're at fault for going over. You didn't mean to, but look, this might get a bit introspective here. But it's like, what caused you to keep going? It may be peer pressure. It may be like, everybody's here having a good time.
Yeah. So it's how you feel about that part. Just to keep going past the 3 drinks or whatever.
It is that kind of that is it time to go home or is it one more and interesting one. Peter, Chris, anything to say?
I don't feel guilty.
Fair play.
It's a conscious choice. So like if I drink, then I know there will be a potential hangover. It's like nothing more than that. And the more control I have over my mind, the less hangovers are affecting me. Like I was out on Friday, got super drunk. It was very fun. And the old me would probably stay in bed all Saturday morning and feeling hungover.
Yeah.
The person I am now is just the day is going on as usual. I go to the gym, I do my thing. It's just, yeah, it's very, very human. I see why people feel guilty of it though, but they need to take responsibility.
It's a good word. And apply to winner.
Does taking responsibility mean feeling guilty or not feeling guilty? I can kind of see it both ways. Introspective.
Well, to me, I meant it in a way that we need to take responsibility for our actions, because every yes is an implicit no. Like every time I say yes to something, I unconsciously say no to something else. And if I say yes to drink 8 drinks or 15 drinks or emptying an entire bottle of whiskey with good friends, then I do say no to feeling super fresh the day after. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I say no to my routines. It doesn't necessarily mean that I say no to my life or my identity. So I just need to be conscious about, what actually a hangover entails. Because when I was younger, it was a hangover means I will throw my entire life out the building and I will binge eat and I will order McDonald's and I will do all of the worst things imaginable for me. And that would prolong my hangover. But now I just, I got drunk. Time to own it. Because I like to fish. And me and my buddy, we talked about like what we called the old guys. And some of the old guys that he fished with, they get drunk as fuck during the day and they're just drinking and fishing and drinking and fishing. And then the next day, they're up. before the sun is rising, and they bear no resemblance of being that drunk the day before. And when we saw that, we figured, well, if they can do it, if they're 60 years old and they're not getting hungover, so why should I? And so it's just, yeah, it's different.
Well, it also sounds like they're enjoying themselves, right?
Yeah, could be. Why would you drink if you don't enjoy yourself? That's just sad, and that's a whole other discussion. And then you can get coaching from me.
Hey, we're not here to talk about business, Peter.
Yeah,
I know. Just so that's if you drink because you're sad, it's an entirely different discussion.
Probably a different bar as well.
Probably. I think it's what's that American artist, the large guy with face tattoos who's not that Jelly Roll. He says, my therapist is a good bartender. I think that's a line from one of the songs. I like that song.
Lexi, we should put that sign up somewhere. I think there's space over there.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Yeah. Okay, so next on the list was staying in your pajamas past 10 o'clock in the morning. People apparently feel guilty about that. I was thinking, is it a UK thing? But I'm like, I don't think so. But apparently people feel guilty about it.
I feel
it's different. Yeah. I'm in my pajamas right now, technically. Yeah,
we need to hear from the two of you.
Yeah.
And Christopher.
Yeah, I feel like that's a unique question for remote online business builders.
All right, Christopher first.
Yeah, I don't think you should feel guilty. So like I've lived alone for 6 years. And the only people that could possibly judge me is my cats. And what that's done is like it's built a confidence in me. Like I don't care what others think. I really don't. When I lived, so prior to living by myself, for the first 28 years of my life, I was living with my parents. I was living with a friend. I got married and lived with my wife. I never lived on my own. I didn't know who I was. And then when I left all of that and I moved to a town like 3 hours away from everyone, I knew no one here. And I've lived here for 6 years. I've had 6 years to figure myself out. All my quirks, all my insecurities. And then I realized how much energy gets wasted when you worry about what others think. And then you question, am I going to spend, I'm 34 now. Let's say I live to 84. Am I going to spend the next 50 years wasting that energy when I'm going to be dead? And the people, if I worry about the people that I'm worrying about, they're also going to be dead. So it's like their opinion doesn't really matter. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't care what others think, like, period. It's not so black and white like that. I think, like, the way I look at it is if people compliment you and they send you good energy, if somebody says something and you feel good vibes, you feel good energy, you can welcome that into your space. But if somebody says something and it's negative energy, then you just return to sender. That's not your people. You just send it back to them and be like, okay, well, you do you, I do me. And you just do that. So like, yeah, me personally, I just think a lot of energy gets wasted on what others, like being really self-conscious, I guess. But I think there's things you should be self-conscious about. Like if you mess up, you make a mistake, and somebody gets like hurt because of it, then yeah, you should be self-conscious about that, because otherwise you wouldn't learn. So
it's quite the journey.
Yeah.
So would you say guilt never truly comes up for you anymore?
And it does, but I'm trying to think of an example because like I don't drink that much that often. I prefer chocolate milk. Like that's my favorite drink. When I come home, I either want a smoothie or I want chocolate milk. So before that, I was a big tea guy. And then before that, I was a big coffee guy. And before coffee, I did energy drinks when I was in college. So I was always alcohol was more on the depressing side. Like it numbs you and it kind of makes you numb to the world around, and you're more likely to go into the lower senses. So like me, for instance, if I was a PMO addict for so many years and I drink and I get like really messed up, then that's going to trigger those addictions. Like I'm going to want to like either hook up with someone or I'm going to go do like something lustful or along that nature. So I now it doesn't mean that I don't drink every now and then. I love the hell out of mead, but I have to have a reason to like want to drink. So I have a friend, she's pretty cool, and I invited her to go to a Renaissance fair. And at a Ren fair, you know, you can dress up as a ranger, a knight, and they sell mead there. So that's when I would drink if I were to go to something like that. But to me, it just seems kind of silly to like bring alcohol back to my place and drink here. Like I want it to be like a special occasion. Another example is a couple of years ago when I went on a road trip. I visited some places in Montana I'd never been to, in Glacier National Park. And after spending like 3 or 4 days out, you know, hiking out in the park, I went to a restaurant and I had like a meal, some sourdough bread with olive oil, and I tried their local ale. So I also like to do that when I travel. I'll have like a beer that's local and I'll try it. So, but I'm mainly a chocoholic. I like if you told me no drugs, no alcohol, or no chocolate, or no pizza, or no Mexican food, I would throw all those out the window except chocolate. Out of all those chocolates, the one thing I gotta have, and I eat it or drink it every day. So I'm 100% a chocoholic.
We'll have to stock up on chocolate milk now.
Oh, dude, I love chocolate milk, but I'm kind of lactose, so it's like I can have like 30 ounces in a day, but if it's any more than that, then it kind of like will upset my insides. But
oh god,
do you feel guilt when you eat too much chocolate?
No, I'm a pirate, so it's like I look up to a lot of fantasy characters, and one of the guys I look up to is Jack Sparrow, and he is so free because he doesn't care what others think. There is so much freedom in that. Because as I said before, it's a waste of energy. It's like, and life's too short to like care. It's like if I'm like, say I have a day where it's like, you know what, I should be drinking 30 ounces of chocolate milk, but I got this whole 64 ounce like jug of it, and I'm just gonna drink the whole thing in a day. I did that 2 weeks ago, and I didn't judge myself at all. I had to go to the bathroom a couple of times, but yeah, I enjoyed it. The taste, it was good. And my cats just look at me like, yeah, go ahead, drink it.
While we silently judge you in the background.
Yeah.
I think that Christopher drinking too much chocolate milk is the equivalent to a hangover for the rest of us.
You definitely get like a sugar, like I go through like the next day, I maybe get a little bit of a headache because it's too much sugar intake.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No guilt.
Nice.
Not for chocolate milk. Definitely not.
Something interesting you said, like you look up to a lot of fictional characters or have them as inspirations. Like, So there's Jack
yeah.
Sparrow. Who else? Who else are we talking?
So man, it's such a mixed bucket because some of them aren't even alike. Like Jack Sparrow is obviously one of them. I'm wearing a ninja headband, so Naruto is another one. I also look up to Jiraiya. I look up to Captain America, Monkey D. Luffy, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, Yoda.
What is it about these characters? What appeals to you?
Ever since my childhood, because like my parents weren't really good examples. I mean, they were for making mistakes, but I didn't want to be like them. I wanted to be better than them, if anything. They, and they're good people, but we're all human beings. We're all like prone to making mistakes. Fictional characters are, to me, are like, they're like they're like, if you're trying to be something and you're aiming for that, then it goes back to what we talked about with identity. Like, my real name's Christopher, but when I left the family and I was on my own for 6 years, I had like a spiritual awakening and I had ego death. So Christopher died, but came back. So it's like I realized that I wasn't just Christopher. Because I figured out that when people are, I'm actually pretty lucky because there's a lot of people that are so entangled in their family life that they don't have that much alone time. So who they're around, like I think I said last time, if you want to find out who you are to other people, surround yourself with other people, friends, family, whatever. Everybody will tell you you're this, you're that. If you want to find out who you are as your own human being, live by yourself for a year. If you want to find out who you are beyond this body, leave your home and go out in the woods somewhere and the trees will tell you. Because nature is like the crystal clear reflection of our true nature, our innate nature. You really can't put a definition on it. But that's like pushing it. I'll keep it at like just the human being level. Like figuring out who we are, who am I, what do I like, when I live by myself and nobody's like telling me or projecting onto me these identities. Family is a good one because if you go a long time without visiting family and then when you go back to family, you'll see the projections and you'll see the triggers too. They'll say things like, I can't explain it, but I have a brother who's 2 years younger than me, and he doesn't try, and I don't try, but we're like fire and water. Literally, my element's fire and his is water. And when we're around each other, it's like mixing water with oil. It's like sometimes I'm his trigger and he's my trigger. And it could be like a single sentence taken the wrong way. Like, I remember I said something, he asked me a question, I said something, and I stayed silent after I said it, but then he started talking to himself. And he did that for 5 minutes, and I watched him have an entire conversation with himself. But what was happening was his mind, I was simply observing, but his mind had taken that sentence I said and like convinced and made an entire like story out of it that wasn't even real. And I realized that like a lot of people in my family are like this. They're trapped in their own mind. They're in a reality that they think is real, but it's actually an illusion. It's only real because their ego keeps reinforcing the idea that it's real. So it's like, that was kind of a mouthful, but
No, all good. All good. This is exactly what we're here for. It's funny you mentioned about when people spend time with themselves and getting to know themselves more away from the people, because that's basically the top thing that people feel most guilty about in this survey was enjoying some me time. So it's funny you mentioned that, like, when it comes to people just taking the time out for themselves, that apparently they feel a lot of guilt about it. But is that a result of the circumstances, programming they've been to that, like, you know, everybody else comes first. And for you to enjoy yourself is like, well, it's funny that like that's what people feel that they're feeling guilty about. It's like to enjoy yourself, what you like to do. It's like I think it's a biggest example or indicator that yes, people are told that like it's nice to think of other people first and put them ahead of you, but too much of that is like, well, is that a behavior that's saying something about you more than the other people? Because we're all told, right, to go think of other people, share and put them first. But then when we do too much of that, we don't give ourselves attention to our own wants and needs. So it's interesting you say that, like, when you spend time with yourself, you really get to know yourself. Yet again, people feel that that's something to be guilty about.
Yeah, that's interesting. I could add on a little bit to that. So my case is very rare. It does happen, but like my relation, when I moved away from my family, I wasn't required to be a part of the picture. They didn't desperately try to reel me in. They kind of left me alone. And not a lot of people are fortunate like that. Their family like will chase after them and they will reel them in, and then they'll that's bait, and then they'll take it. And it's like you get reeled in, whether it by emotional attachment or whatever it is. And but I think the big one for me is like I had a bunch of like family drama happen right before I moved away. And then when I moved away, I experienced what real peace was. There was loneliness, and that's why I got animals, but I experienced like no drama. And then there was this healing. I realized that I had all this trauma and that my family did too, but they're still caught in it. But they don't know they're caught in it. Some of them do, and they like started to work on themselves. But a lot of people like don't know how deep the spider webs go, because from the moment I was brought into this planet, the way my family was, the way they've been living, it's super conditioned, and it's way bigger than just my family. It's the whole damn world. It's like society, the way it's like constructed, just like breeds unconsciousness, and people start to become more conscious by miracles, really. Like something sort of, like in my case, God's like, okay, or the universe, I'm going to take you out of the family picture so you can see what's going on. And that's sort of what happened with me. And there's so many like angles to it. And I am pretty lucky. I didn't find this all on my own. I found a couple of mentors online I really resonate with. A couple of them are dead, but one of them's still alive. And his videos, like the way he sees reality, it just, something inside clicked. Like, it's like, holy crap, this is a guy that's breaking it down on a level that I understand it. He's not using complicated vocabulary. It's very simple, and it's very my style. And it just sort of like, I don't know, I've been listening to him for 2.5 years, and when I started, it was like opening, and I just kept, and it's weird because sometimes I'll be at work and somebody's like trying to talk to me, and my body's here and I'm doing the work, but my consciousness is somewhere else. I'm like getting a download. Like I'll be at work doing something and I'll be having normal conversation. Then all of a sudden I'll just get this like realization that just comes out of nowhere. Like I'll see people, like I'll be working with them and they're super in their character and I'm super in my character, but then there's a part of me that's like steps out of my character and I see that they're in their character, but they don't know they're in their character. They're completely unconscious of like this other reality going on here. And it's not something that the intellect can grab. It's like you have to, like, because you just see like the world differently, and it blows your mind. Like literally, your mind kind of. And nowadays, like my mind goes quiet a lot. It's not so busy like thinking. It's like it's like just empty space. I don't know, in my head, and it's harder for me to do like think about complex things. You know.
No worries, Pete. Thanks for coming. See you in a bit.
But yeah,
I like that you got that bit of quiet space in your mind. I think everyone can do more of that.
yeah, I agree on that. I think living alone helps a lot, though. I tried having a roommate, and he was really dirty, so it kind of like annoyed me. And when he left, I had my peace again. So it was, for the time being, living alone is the right call.
Fair play, man. Fair play. Ben, what do you make of all this?
It's interesting. I was just thinking about, there's a little bit of like contrarian perspective, although I do agree with a lot of what you're talking about, which is cool. Simon Sinek was talking about one of the challenges that we have like in the world today, which is that we have a lot of choice around a lot of the dynamics that we used to not be able to choose, like where you want to live and who you spend time with, who you live with, who's in your family. You know, back in the day, it was like whoever's around you in the village, you had to deal with these people. And so we became much more tolerant of the way that they live life. And so, although I wouldn't want to live my life that way, I mean, who would want to choose that? But there is something there that I think teaches us how to be more tolerant. And I see that in like Asia, probably more than the West. The West is very like secular and divided. And people in the West are not particularly happy, which is why everyone is searching for mindset coaching and stuff as well. So there's sort of a dynamic there, but I think we're all sort of figuring it out at the moment and trying to understand what is really contributing to like loneliness and anxiety and all these things that we're experiencing while the world moves incredibly quickly. Just those thoughts came to mind, and I'm a little bit biased because I live in Asia and I see some of this stuff and I have conversations about it. But I also love my alone time as well. And that's been a big thing at the moment, even though I don't even have kids or anything. I just have a wife and I work. Even in that context, I found it hard to make time for myself, which I thought was kind of crazy. So I very much relate to that, the number one there about making time for yourself. I think it's really hard to do that these days. Yeah. What do you guys think? What did you unpack from all of that?
Go on, Lexi.
Oh, I was going to say you go. Well, I mean, I agree. Like I guess like because I can say now that I've experienced like both ends of it, where I've lived alone for years, and then like now I'm in a relationship, and it's definitely a different dynamic. And like we're in a house, but sometimes I don't know, it's like you need like a certain type of like space. So, you know, like we'll kind of like just check in with each other to see if like what the other one needs and like how we can support. And it's at the same time, I feel like just trying to figure it out. And it's not a one-time thing that you figure out. It's where you are in the process, in the journey of whatever it is that you're learning and experiencing. And sometimes it's more of a struggle than others. Sometimes it's easier than others. And we've done this enough to be like, okay, now let's do it this way. Like that seemed to work last time. It's like, okay, let's, divide our time this way or whatever. If Peter was here, he was actually talking to me about it earlier today. And he has, in his relationship, it's a different dynamic because he's lived alone all his life. And now that his girlfriend's living with him, it was challenging for him. But then he said he looked at it the wrong way today. This is what he said. He's like, I looked at it the wrong way. Once I took a step back and like really like zoomed out, I was able to realized that because she's in the house, like, because when I do my podcast with Peter, it's usually like early in the morning, and he has to, like, coffee shops don't open until like 7 a.m. So he's out at like 6:30 a.m. He's at the park. It's kind of cold over in Norway right now. And he was just waiting for the sun to rise so he could warm up. But it was like beautiful, because then he said, at first it was, I'm used to my solitude. How do I have time for myself? And then it changed into, well, if I want to have these meetings, like it's going to be loud, because, or if I'm going to have the podcast, it's going to be loud. So I'm going to be talking, and it's early in the morning and she needs to sleep. So then he was like, well, do I have to have it in the house, you know, or in the apartment? Like, I can just go somewhere else. So because of that, he was in the park, and it was a beautiful day. And, you know, he was really enjoying like the air and just being around, like surrounded by nature. So between that, and then instead, like, he'll take time to go to the gym instead of staying at home. Like before, he'd probably spend like a few hours just doing things where it's like his alone time, but it wasn't really him spending time with himself in a quality way, I guess. So now that she's there, it puts him in a situation where he can spend time with himself in a quality way, like working out, like going to the park, like hanging out in the cafe and working on stuff. So that way everything's segregated. And then when he goes home to her, he can be like fully present, you know, and a better version of himself, because he was able to kind of step away. So yeah, I thought that was a cool perspective.
Can relate to
it's
that.
Nice that he built that out for himself, right?
I mean, he did it quick. Like, he's like they're like this power couple. So it's like they will figure things out in their dynamic. Like, everything's kind of like at lightning speed because of like their specialties. So they figure things out pretty quickly. It can probably get like heated up, but at the same time, it's like I always look at it like, when things get really challenging, it's like you're taking an accelerated course. So it's like, it's going to be that much harder, because you're trying to condense the amount of time by doing like more volume or something. And that's what I feel like they did. And then Peter also, he has a really good grasp on things. Like, he has a really good perspective on a lot of things, actually. And he's one of those people that genuinely believes so much in the good in humanity, and he just wants to create a world where people are happy for no reason. They're just happy. So everything that he does and thinks, when I have conversations with him, supports that specifically. Yeah,
it's a nice philosophy.
Yeah.
His girl, he's with somebody that really matches his level of frequency and awareness. And that's why they're able to accelerate at such lightning speed. When you settle for someone, I think this is a good one. It's why I'm still single too. I don't want to settle for someone who's not on the same level as me, or at in close vicinity. You know, if we're not super matching, it's not worth my peace, because it just becomes
what's super matching.
You feel it when you're with.
Hi.
When you're with, because when you're with someone, you can feel if it's super matching or not, just through conversation, hanging out with them, dialogue. There's so many different angles. It's
Are you talking about what people usually call the spark?
Yeah, like I've had sparks with people, like we just clicked. So my Indian friend, he's my Indian brother. He lives halfway across the world from me, and we met online, and from the moment we met, we just clicked. Now,
is a friendship connection different to a romantic partner connection?
I can't have a romantic if we're not friends first. So that's one thing I figured out about myself. I can't just get on a dating app and start dating someone. Hey, you're cute. Let me go out with you. Because I see the whole charade. It's a game. And it's a game people play with each other. It's called the mating game. And it just like, I see right through it. I'm like, I see that it's a game, and I see that when you're around me, I'm triggering your like either I'm triggering you sexually, I'm triggering you emotionally, I'm triggering you mentally. It's like a game of the mind. I don't know. It's something I'm not really interested in. It's too boring for me. There's too much fluff. I'd rather like really get to know someone. Like that's why the idea I had for a first date, I think last time, was take them out to a national park. Let's go hiking out in the woods for a week. And you'd be surprised because when you're out in nature, you cut out all the noise. When you're in the city, when you're surrounded by televisions and all these distractions, how are you supposed to figure out who you two really are? You know, when you go out and away from the distractions and you're out in, like, middle of nowhere, it doesn't matter where, just somewhere away from the city, then you're able to be more present because of that. At least I am. Like when I get away from the city, distractions, I go to like I like national parks, but let's just say I go to like a local state park or something. Even then, like it's like a reset for me. Or even going to the ocean and just like when the sun comes up and when the sun goes down, you just a good 30 minutes of just staring at the water, nothing, empty your mind. And it really like is like a reset. It gets rid of all that garbage, and then you see if they're a good match for you too. Because like for me, I enjoy that. So if I take someone out for a week and they do that and they're not having a good time, I already know automatically they're not the right partner for me.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is they definitely have to be on your frequency in order to do something like that. You know, so that's definitely a good pre-qualifier to see who's a good fit or a potential good fit or not. By just being like, well, why don't we just take a trip for a weekend and do this? Like, wait for our first date. It's like, yeah. She's like, oh. So yeah. I mean, to each its own. I feel like that's like, you know, special to how you would do things, and I feel like it would work for you. But probably wouldn't work as well for someone that doesn't really know themselves, you know? So it's just like teach their own on like how they'll figure it out for themselves.
Yeah. And that's like, I try to encourage that. I don't think people should do exactly what I'm doing. I definitely think people should take time to figure themselves out. But then when they do that, then they'll figure out what they want to attract.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I did have a question though, Vishad. What's your take on everything? Because all of us have answered, but you haven't answered.
So when I saw the #1 result, I'm like, that reminds me of the programming we've been through, where to put yourself first is frowned upon. Yet in your contradiction space, it's one of the most natural things we do as humans anyway. You mentioned before we kicked off, right, about the baby in the pram reacting to what was going on around him or her. We naturally react, we naturally experience things, yet so much of our programming is built around everybody else comes first. It's the acceptable thing, it's the what looks good thing, and it's very on a lot of levels superficial, very performative, like, oh look, he's thinking of others, he's a nice guy or whatever. But you know, a lot of people are waking up to the fact that, well, actually that doesn't get the person anywhere really. And yeah, look, it's not to say that, you know, being sharing like that or benevolent is never do that, not at all. But it's there's always an opportunity to ask there, okay, I might be doing something for someone or whatever it might be, but am I giving myself the same space, time, energy? And why would guilt come up straight away? Aren't you? Because it's basically an underlying message to say, well, my needs and wants don't matter enough as someone else. And ironically, we look to do sometimes these things for someone else to meet our needs. So it's things like validation, supplication, overcompensating, acceptance. So like basically the sense of like, please don't go away, please don't abandon me. So if we do things for other people, oh, he's nice or she's considerate or whatever, then it feels like, oh, you're accepted and you'll stay together more. But it's interesting that when we go, well, what about us? So me time could be, as you know, as Chris was alluding to, or even Peter was alluding to, saying in his story of like he goes away and does the things that he wants to do, like his gym or his podcast outside. But how much of those are like just things that he does away from people versus what he actually wants to do, or whomever it might be. So I think when we give ourselves a chance to go, me time means do what you want, not in a like go to the end of the scale and annoy everybody, or I say even that's a statement in itself to go, how do you know you're annoying? I don't mean go to the other end of the scale. I mean like to just give yourself the idea, like if say for example today you wanted to just sit around, watch Netflix or do nothing, then that's okay. Immediately a lot of people probably go, yeah, but I got kids, I got a job, I got this. Okay, no one's saying drop that this minute. It's to say you can have all that and still carve out whatever little bit of time. And again, the jump back would be, no, I don't have any time. Well, there's an opportunity to you to ask, well, I could do, but I'm choosing, as Peter was saying earlier, your choices have consequences. So the more you practice that, the more it's like, does the guilt go away? Probably not. But you're giving yourself the chance of another possibility to go, actually, do I have to feel guilty about just me? Which is not easy. These are not overnight things, especially probably as parents. Because when it doesn't feel like you're putting your kids first or giving them enough, I don't know, time, attention, whatever, then that's when the guilt really hits, right? So, yeah, that's my 2 pence worth.
That's interesting. I will say though that word performance, that from my perspective, that's the issue with the world. People feel I need to put on a performance. Why? You're setting the other person up for failure and yourself because you're not being yourself. If you have to put on a performance, are you being yourself? You're like deceiving the person and you're deceiving yourself. So like a lot of people like, and it's really thick. So I have 2 jobs. I've been up for 24 hours now, but I still wanted to like come to this because I can't make the Saturday. I was really busy this weekend. So I work 2 jobs. One's at an overnight grocery store, just doing stocking. And then the other one is I move furniture. And the job I enjoy more is moving furniture.
Yeah.
Because at we're still polite to the customer, but it's like different every day. And in the truck, we can have shop talk. It's like we're free to talk about whatever we want. At the shop, we talk about whatever we want. Some people cuss, and everybody at that job is so themselves. And they all like are there because like the guy I did the move with yesterday, he has a master's degree in like accounting, and he was an accountant for 2 or 3 years, and he worked for a couple of banks, and he said he made good money, but he hated it because he just like he was being something he wasn't. And he's like, this job, he's like creating his own business on the side, but he still comes in and does this job. And he's like, I really like the guys here, and I like the work, and I like how everybody's like themselves. And it sometimes it's a mess. Like we had one guy we hired, and he showed up, speaking of being drunk, he drank the night before, was an hour late, and then we have like a monthly store meeting, and on camera, he was paired up with a guy who reminds me of my godfather. He's just straight up blunt. He's more blunt than I am. He does no common courtesy, and he'll chew you out if like you're looking for a fight. Because like in the video, the dude was cussing him out, and then he's like, "I'll pull this truck over right now. We can fight in the road, bro." And Like he was just straight up. Now nobody got in a fight. He drove him back to the shop and the dude quit. But it I love that job so much because it's like it's something different every day. Unexpected, like if you have expectations, they're gonna get shattered because it's like you never know what you're gonna bump into. And it's exciting. But my other job, it's the people there are more dead. It's like the people at my moving job are more alive because when you allow yourself to be yourself, you're more alive. You're more human. You're more embracing in all your identities. And then, but when you like work for a bank or something that's super corporate and super by the book, you like become programmed to like be a certain way. And if you're in an environment for so long, you eventually become the company you keep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you think the moving job is because there's a lack of that formal, I don't want to say structure, but like there's that almost freedom to do the job as you see fit?
Yes. And that's what I'm finding out right now, that's how I want to work for the rest of my life. I want to eventually run my own business, whatever it is, but I want to work with pirates. I love people who are just a ragtag team of guys, and some of them are rowdy, some of them are polite. Like Jay, he's pretty polite. He's chill. He's like, he doesn't like to start fights. He's smart. He does programming on the side. But like me, he enjoys being around a lot of the rowdier guys. You got a guy like, Andrew, he may get into a fight. And then you have Donnie, he's like a fat Thor from Avengers. So it's like, they really are pirates. And I'm like, man, these are my people, at least for now. Like, I really enjoy it. And I got it as a job to help pay off debt. So it's like, it was just a job to make more money. And I was like moving furniture. Oh, that's going to be tough, but whatever. I'll hack it for 6 months. And now I'm looking at maybe wanting to stay even longer because I just enjoy the people I work with. So
sounds like a new movie to come out then.
Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Now you got Pirates of
Moving trucks.
There you go. There we go.
All right. So before I do last call, is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about?
I don't know. This morning's interesting conversation.
I know we kind of were like talking about a bunch of different things today. Sorry, Vishad, we didn't get as much through the list.
I purposely could have, like, I think people, to be honest, covered it. Like there was a lot of when we're making the points about, we feel guilt about a lot of trivial things. I mean, I'll just jump through a couple more very quickly, not for discussion, but just like what else came up. So people like felt guilty about throwing away a small amount of food at meal times, calling in to work sick when you're genuinely ill. They feel guilty about that. Crossing the road to avoid chatting to your neighbor. Not texting back your friends, and leaving your bed unmade. To see like 2 or 3 trivial things where like we don't, do we really need to feel guilty about that? Versus like, well, when you're cancelling on your friends or not texting them back, it's like there's guilt there, but then what's underneath the guilt? Chris mentioned the point earlier about the world becoming this big space where there's a lot of subconscious programming running these things, and I think this has suddenly crept in as a modern thing where like we take connections that we have for granted. I've said it on a load of platforms now constantly that communication is on the floor. Like when we don't text back people, when we don't we ghost, we cancel. Canceling is what that can happen. But it's the whole not texting back, and people go, yeah, but I didn't mean that, and that kind of thing. Is like, yeah, but then we're all contributing to this thing, that if we're not communicating and connecting, then those stats like anxiety, loneliness, depression, all that go the wrong way. But at the moment, people feel guilt about it. So yeah, when people early on said about it, I thought, you know, I don't need to go through the top 10 in like that order. So all good, all good.